Doula Carolyn here of Barefoot Momma to show postpartum self-binding. First off, go ahead and unroll or ravel your bind and have it laying on the floor in front of you. Find your initial spot for your first knot if not indicated on your bind. This goes directly on top of your pubic bone at the base. I suggest starting with your traditional double knot for security. Once you become more familiar with the binding process, you can switch this out to a Bengkung knot if you prefer. But the bind wraparound of your anchor layer should have no foldovers or creases. It should be nice, open, wide fabric covering the hip and in the back body tucking underneath the bum. How many anchor layers is your personal preference? When binding for postpartum, I highly recommend 2. As you travel up your body, you begin to space your layer. An anchoring layer goes directly on top of the first layer that you've made. Your tail, used for the knots, can go over your shoulder, held in your mouth, or tucked into your shirt or bra strap. Once you are ready to begin vertically traveling up the torso, you want to only spread out your layers 2 fingers width so that the majority of the bind is overlapping. You want to check this on both of your side bodies when wrapping around so that only that 2 fingers width of the previous layer is showing. Now, the flare close to the knot is really important for helping that extra, maybe belly chub kind of stay in place initially postpartum. So you flare the fabric out and then hold it in place as you securely wrap it around your side body. Reach behind to grab the bottom and top rails so that you don't lose that security of your flare. Checking that side body, and then go ahead and here we go again, flare it out. Bring it over the hip, and that bringing over the hip helps it stay in place. Notice there, I dip the fabric down. This helps with your back layers not riding up and having proper close overlap on your back body. Continue wrapping. Now, when you're making your Bengkung knots, if they're not straight up your torso, here's a tip for you. Binding on top of a comfortable natural fiber shirt will always hold the bind better in place and protect it from extra sweat. Postpartum mamas, we run warm. So when you're having wibbly wobbly knots, find a shirt you don't love. Once on your body, have someone draw a straight line on it and use that as your guideline for traveling your knots up your body. The pelvic floor check in the middle of your wrapping is crucial. Once you wrap over your belly button, give yourself a pause. From having the bind tail in your mouth, the bind has naturally actually shimmied up your body. We want to give focus to that rehabilitation of the pelvic floor and the hips. Using your pointer finger and middle finger on both hands, you're going to be shimming the bind back down, covering your pubic bone, covering your hips, and covering your back body tailbone. So you will see you've generally lost about 3 inches, and you will gain those 3 inches back from this technique of pausing and rechecking. You can shimmy each layer by layer down your body. Here's what's so amazing about the Bengkung. Your initial layer is still down there. So here I'm showing you how your first layer has then been reinforced with all of these next layers without adding extra bulk to your body. So after that pelvic floor check, then you want to go ahead and continue wrapping up your torso. Once you wrap over your waist, the width of the bind can be almost too much. So here's a trick I've developed called the back flip snug. This also is a really wonderful technique for a curvier body frame, as traditional Bengkung binds are actually only 6 inches wide. This will help snug up the fabric. So once you've gone over your side body, you're going to reverse your rails of your back body. Doing this a couple times will really snug up excess for the width of the bind. I also always love to suggest when you're immediately postpartum, your last 2 layers be a little softer and not as snug, as this is flattering up at top in case there is a little extra skin up there that might want to show itself off too much. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'm here to support. There's a few methods of finishing off your bind. Now, the American culture has appropriated this Bengkung form of belly binding from a Malaysian culture. So finishing off your bind has a traditional and 2 non-traditional. The first is just finding the 2 ends, knotting them off, and tucking them in. A more traditional Malaysian form has the finish of your fabric being tucked between your body and the knots, and then the extra wrapped around your body up at the top. A really fun way that shows off some of the fabric as well that might not be seen otherwise is to wear as a sash style. Thanks for watching, and as always, wrap with love.